Hey, it's me Max, aka Rosentwig, and today we are going to be exploring one of my favorite sound design and atmosphere creation tools. Metaphysical Function is this absolute atmosphere and ear candy and happy little accident powerhouse, and you can basically create any type of sound with it, ranging from like subtle ear candy sounds to like really weird and crazy experimental sounds. Since this reactor ensemble is pretty old now, I think like at least 15 years or something, they are circulating a bunch of different versions of this in the web. The one I use will be linked in the description, but pretty much most versions can do what I will do in this video. This is the lovely plugin. I think most of this is really just the basic version. The main thing that is different in this version is that someone actually programmed a spin level mix and a main mix level fader in here, which is really useful for putting samples through this whole thing. So first of all, what even is this whole thing? It's essentially a synthesis tool which is based upon different oscillators, but you can also feed it with samples, which is really fun. We have two oscillator sections. We have A and B. All of these have multiple oscillators, so here are like a bunch of sine waves, like a triangle wave, square wave, or like different types of square waves, noise generators, and as I mentioned earlier, we also have a sample function. To use this, we have to press the little audio wave file thing button up here and just add our own sounds. I imported a bunch of the Patreon only sample pack sounds here, so we can play around with these a bit later. If you want to do this, just drag and drop sounds in here, then go to edit, select one, and be sure to also select loop, so the sound actually loops and doesn't just play through once. So the main gist of this is that it can be controlled with like really awesome internal automation. There is actually a version of this that is completely LFO based, which the UI, to be fair, looks a bit crazy, but it's actually fun to play around with as well. But I really like this normal version. But I'm gonna explain how the automation works in a bit. For now, we're just gonna start with the basic sound. So if we start increasing the gain here, we can actually see like a really nice visual representation of the sound, which we can also change by dragging it and zooming, which is really cool for like making visuals and stuff. And the pitch of the sound, in this case the sine wave, is being controlled by this parameter. 60 is middle C, I don't know why, but it is. And if you increase this, you go up by semitones. We can also like get in some noise if we want, and now we can actually see the noise in here, which is I just love looking at this thing. So again, this is like the ultimate tool for happy accidents and whatnot. Anyways, let's bring in another oscillator, maybe like another sine wave. Now let's do this. So now if you want to automate those parameters, we can click this button right here, click into this little automation box, and now just start moving the fader. And now we have recorded this little automation. Now we have a lot of ways to change the sound. Here in the middle, we actually have a pitch modulation option for all oscillators. If we want every oscillator to be modulated via this, we just press this all button. And now we could actually automate the pitch of all of them. We can also do MIDI input, which is cool for like playable sounds, of course. We can change how smooth it changes. So like from this to more gradual, which is mainly for the MIDI though. The cool thing is we could also start putting in parts of the B section. So for example, let's just put in some noise. And now there are multiple ways of incorporating this into the main sound. Right now it's just playing like normal, like you would expect. You know, we have sound A and sound B, but we can also cancel that and do the multiply version. Now we take this little mix between thing and go to the right side, and now you can actually hear how both of the sounds are multiplying, which can like do really cool sounds. For example, if we do incorporate an oscillator now and change the pitch, we can get some really crazy FM sounds. Now let's actually take a look at the different kinds of effects we can do. We can of course have a filter working, so we can low pass or high pass this. We also have a nice distortion unit here, which is capable of really destroying the sound. And obviously this can be automated too, so we can just like activate the mix. And also the drive if we want. There's also an EQ function, which we can use to shape the sound a little bit. And now here we have the spin delay, which is a really nice delay. We can choose the left delay and the right one. We can also adjust the fine for the T1 delay, so the left delay. Again, all of this can be automated too, of course. And the cool thing with this particular version is that we actually have control over the spin. So if you put this down, we just have the original. And now we can introduce the delay. Then there's this really cool resochord resonator type of situation. For this to work, we have to have feedback on 1, and this feedback basically is deciding how strong it will then actually do the feedback. I'm not entirely sure why this has to be on 1, but that's just how I figured it out. These are different kind of chord sets, so let's just choose color 1. This obviously totally changes the sound, which is really cool. This can be really awesome with atonal sounds, but it can also work great for tonal sounds. There's also one really important part, the reverb, to wash everything out. There are different kinds of versions. We have from smaller to endless. And we also have control over the width, so we can make it mono or stereo. So this is basically how it works. Now again, we could go through like mixing a bunch of cool automations together, introducing some resonance maybe. As you can see, this already totally changed the sound. And there's like endless potential for new ways of creating stuff. What I like even more than just this oscillator function is the randomize function, of course, because with tools like these, it's just amazing to randomize things and just see what comes up. Sometimes it really doesn't work that well, but sometimes it's like amazing what kind of sounds can come out. What you can control is the sample function. And as I told you earlier, it's fairly easy to use. Just set up the samples you want. I loaded a bunch of different samples. So this, for example, is a drum loop from my Patreon pack. The sample window works in an interesting way. You can select what type of or what area you want to loop. So we can like use this. Now it just loops this little part. Then there's also another amp, which we can also control with the automation, and a direction. If we go to this, it's like, I think like minus 24 semitones or something. And if we go lower, it starts going in the other direction. So we actually can reverse the sound as well. Now we can like apply all of these sounds in here as well. One thing I really like to do is use this multiply function now. Activate the noise. We can layer in like nice noise sounds. Or like even an oscillator. Maybe a bit more bass. Maybe some distortion. Now we can actually automate it with the clip. So let's see. And now with drum sounds, it's really nice to use the reso chord. Like this already sounds great. You can also change the speed now of how fast these change. So let's speed it up. But actually slow down the sample. Ooh, that's cool. I love that. Now let's just, for fun, choose a different sample. Ooh. That reminds me of Machinarium soundtrack, if any of you know that. Ooh, that's really cool. Oh man, I love this tool so much. Let's try a tonal sound. One thing you can also do is obviously just hit the randomizer button. You can choose how many parameters you want. I think at least that's what this is. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now it just gives you something. Like this, which can be part of the next Salad Finger soundtrack. It's actually pretty cool. Also, a little tip, you should definitely put a limiter on your chain after this plugin, because sometimes the sounds are really loud. So definitely be careful and protect your ears. Ah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, well, what can I say? As you can see, this is a really, really cool tool, and I'm gonna do some kind of sample thing with this for sure. I might even maybe try to do like a whole track with this at some point. That might be a little bit difficult, but that could work theoretically. Let me know if you want to see something like that, or me exploring different kinds of cool, almost generative tools like this. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I hope you enjoyed. If you would like to support my work, you can buy my music on Bandcamp or check out my Patreon page. Again, thank you so much for watching this. See you soon.